I'd like to talk a little bit about Mathieu Jorgensen because for as good as he's been this year, I did not agree with how he rode Flanders.
I was like, it's over. I don't know about you, but I'm like, this race is over. Van Hels is winning. And then Brando comes out of nowhere to win. That was awesome.
I think that's a good tactic for Sheffield because Sheffield's flown a little more under the radar this year. I think they're going to give him a little bit more of a leash.
So Soudal was abysmal at their home race, the Tour of Flanders. Quite a bit of extra pressure on them for Paris Roubaix, but I don't know about you, but I don't see them delivering.
You're going to look up and all of a sudden you're going to be a minute down and you're going to be like, where did he get that time? I finished with him every day, sort of. That's kind of Primož's style, and I think this week in Basque Country, it's really going to suit him well.
Van der Poel looking like the hot favorite for Roubaix. Who do you reckon his number one rival was? I'm thinking Mads Pedersen, maybe the only rider that could hypothetically go as well as he can throughout the race. It is Easter Monday on Beyond the Podium. Tour of Flanders, men and women. Americans on fire. Soudal, where the heck have they been? As well as a number of other topics. We'll get to them. Toot sweet. Tejay van Garderen, great to have you. Where are you at?
I'm in Mallorca right now, living my best life on the sunny Mediterranean island.
Mallorca, nice.
Great to see you, Bob. You look good. Glad you didn't shave on my account.
You might be the only person to say that I look good currently, but I appreciate that. Let's get to Tour of Flanders. Mathieu van der Poel, not to be denied, especially without Wout van Aert. It's going to be a long day for everybody else if Wout wasn't there, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, Van der Poel, he was head and shoulders above the rest. Interesting tactics by some of the other teams. You could tell that a lot of the guys, they wanted to get out ahead of the Van der Poel attack, because if you wanted to sit in the peloton and wait for Van der Poel to drop you, then that's just a losing tactic. Saw Peterson trying to go up the road, but I'd like to talk a little bit about Mathieu Jorgensen because for as good as he's been this year, I did not agree with how he rode Flanders. It's not that he didn't have the legs, but he started opening up the race with 112K to go. I mean, he made the initial move. And Visma Lease Bike, they were trying like heck to get up the road, somebody up the road, and like around 60K to go, they just, you kind of saw them just all on the back foot. And I got to tell Mathieu, after winning Paris-Nice, after winning Dorsdorf-Flanderen, and winning Paris-Nice in the style of following another super freak in Remco Evenepoel, I would have liked to challenge him to say, like, you know what? Stick with Mathieu van der Poel. You've already followed one freak. You can follow another freak again. Like, but you're not going to be afforded a leash, and they're not going to let you go after all those results. They're not going to let you go after they watched you win just last Wednesday. So I would have liked to challenge him to go man to man.
Well, it seemed like, according to Mathieu, it was the hardest race he's ever done in his life. So, I mean,
yeah. But when you watched him when Van der Poel went, he was like 10 meters off the back.
Yeah,
and he hung around at like 7 seconds. If he didn't make all those moves before, he might have been able to get into that slipstream. Who knows where he would have gone from there? But with the form he's had this year, and with the confidence that he built up and being able to follow a guy like Remco Evenepoel around the roads of Nice, I would have thought, like, you know what, you can stick on Mathieu van der Poel's wheel and, you know, maybe not beat him, but be there for second place. I don't know. I think opening up the race with 112K to go, you've raced Flanders, 112 to go. That's an eternity.
Maybe I was thinking without Wout, you don't have time between Wednesday and Sunday to change the team plan that much. Tour of Flanders is so special. It's an event that takes months of preparation. So for Mathieu, I thought he rode about as best as he could have done physically, maybe not tactically, considering he was on Wednesday morning helping Wout van Aert the whole week, and then Wednesday afternoon, the winner of Dwars, and now the team leader for Tour of Flanders. Maybe a little bit too much to ask for for Mathieu, in my opinion, and I thought he rode great in spite of that.
Absolutely. He still rode great. Don't get me wrong. I nothing but praise for Mathieu Jorgensen. But I don't know. I'm going to push back on you a little bit, Bob, because Flanders, that's a race that's so dynamic. It changes. You can't make a plan a month out. You have to roll with the punches in that kind of race. Like, people are attacking from 40K to go. People are attacking from 112, from 65K when like Mads Peterson was gone. That race is just an ever-changing, ever-evolving race that, like, you have to kind of be prepared for anything and also be prepared to switch up the tactics. Like, okay, yeah, missing Wout van Aert, then maybe Wout van Aert would have been the guy to stick with Mathieu van der Poel, but Mathieu Jorgensen, he showed that he could already do it. I don't know if it was a lack of confidence in himself that he thought, like, I have to do this because I'm not there yet. I'm like, you know what? Why not?
Maybe he's lucky that Tejay wasn't there also. That might have changed. Your favorite rider, TJ.
Oh, I love Tadej Pogačar. Yeah, no, that definitely was. Yeah, it's a shame that Tadej wasn't there to defend his title. That would have been another. That would have made another race. But yeah, no, it was an exciting race nonetheless. I mean, they were throwing everything they could at Mathieu van der Poel, but he was just unstoppable.
Men's finale, not as exciting as the women's, in my opinion. Lidl Trek getting the job done, first and third, and it's not easy to beat SD Works, but they really handed it to them, and I was really stoked to see how Lidl Trek rode and won with Elisa Longo Borghini. Did you like the women's event also? I thought it was more exciting than the men's, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I was rooting for Kasia Niewiadoma. She finished place. Good friend of mine. Obviously I go way back with Taylor Phinney and they're together. So I was rooting for her, but it was definitely an exciting race.
All right, let's talk about Brandon McNulty, a very tough one-day race in Spain, Grand Prix Miguel Indurain, and killed everybody. And that was one of the most impressive. He got caught on the last climb by Maxime Van Hels, dropped on the descent and fought his way back and beat him at the line. I was like, it's over. I don't know about you, but I'm like, this race is over. Van Hels is winning. And then Brando comes out of nowhere to win. That was awesome.
Oh, yeah. Good old B-Mac, the Mac Daddy. I mean, he's that was an impressive win. I mean, I texted straight afterwards, and I was like, I thought you were done when you got caught. Like, how did you pull that one off? And he actually said, like, I don't know, something in the rain, my brake stopped working, so I just, like, I didn't have any brakes for that last corner. So I was, wow. All right, well, that's, maybe you can just, before there were disc brakes, you used to be able to open the brakes, like, with that little lever. I wish I had that on disc brakes. I'd be like, you should just, like, open up that lever, and then,
yep,
yeah, brakes are just slowing them down.
Maybe they should. I'm just kidding. Don't adjust Brandon's brakes. He'll need them when he does. So, also, another young American, Magnus Sheffield, was fantastic in the Tour of Flanders. It was okay. Mathieu van der Poel maybe in a different race, but the race for second was really thrilling, and Magnus was right in there. I was really impressed with the way he rode. Yeah,
I mean, obviously, look, my loyalties lie with EF, and when I saw Bettiol fighting for that podium with Dylan Toones, who I was also teammates for a good 5 years with on BMC, I was really rooting for them to get that podium spot. But when I saw Magnus up there and the ride that he did, man, that was incredible, especially everything he's been through. That crash last year in the Tour of Swiss, not just physically, but also mentally, because we all know what happened that day. I think it shows a lot of character that he was able to recover from that. And it's great to see him back on flying form.
Well, Magnus is a name to reckon with. We haven't seen him in the Tour de France yet, but hopefully he'll get that chance in the years to come. But for me, it's just great to see these young Americans doing so well. Sepp Kuss in the Vuelta last year, Brandon having maybe the best season of his whole career, Mathieu, winner of Paris-Nice, and now Magnus Sheffield again. So it's great to see the United States up there in the front battling for wins. It's been especially in the springtime. It's been a while.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, I mean, now's a great time to be an American cycling fan, and I mean, we're also not even firing on all cylinders. You know, we haven't seen a whole lot of Quinn Simmons, and Nielsen Palace has been out a little bit. So once we get the American firepower back on full throttle, I think, you know, we're gonna be seeing them all across the board.
Another race in Spain right now, Tour of the Basque Country. Maybe the hardest one-week race no one's ever heard of, and some big stars there. Roglic, Evenepoel, and Jonas Vingegaard doing battle this week. I'm looking forward to that. They had the time trial today, and Roglic, in spite of going the wrong way, won that. So Basque Country, I think, is going to be a great stage race to follow, and maybe give us an idea about what to expect in the Tour de France later this summer.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting course this year. So I saw a little bit of the I saw Remco Evenepoel. He crashed on one of the opening corners, but still ended up fourth place. So not too far off the pace of Roglic. Roglic, like you said, went the wrong way, but I don't know. Those guys are both looking pretty good. No summit finish this week. So I kind of am leaning towards Primož Roglic for the win, because just his riding style, he likes to nickel and dime. He likes to sprint for time bonuses. I think it's going to be hard to find a spot where there's like a 10K, 10% of finish where some fly knockout punch kind of rider like Jonas Vingegaard can really get that time. So I think you're going to see Primož Roglic. He'll be sprinting for bonus seconds, getting like top threes on stages that a lot of those other guys are comfortable really sprinting for. And I think he's going to do his typical sort of paper cut you to death. Like you're going to look up and all of a sudden you're going to be a minute down and you're going to be like, where did he get that time? I finished with him every day, sort of. That's kind of Primož's style. And I think this week in Basque Country, it's really going to suit him well.
I was surprised that he wasn't more competitive in Paris-Nice, his first race for Bora. So maybe a little extra training in between.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can't peel too much back from just one TT. So, you know, we haven't found what we've seen already in Paris-Nice. So maybe he is a little off the back, and I'm just kind of thinking, you know, what Primo does normally. But if his form isn't up to par, then he'll get found out pretty quick, especially in a race like Basque Country. Even though no summit finish, you're still going to be going up some, you know, things where you're going to need a 36 gear in the back and a 36 in the front, like just some of those crazy steep goat paths. So if he's not on form, he'll get found out pretty quick. But if he's the Primož we know, I think he should have some fun this week.
And what about Jonas's time trial today? What did you think about that? I thought it was okay, but I expected a fair amount more from Vingegaard in today's race.
Yeah, I mean, when we saw him in the Tour de France last year, time trialing the way he was time trialing, and especially with that crazy, goofy helmet that he has that's looking super scary, like I was kind of thinking, okay, well, let's show us something. But like I said, it wasn't too long of a TT, so I don't think you can peel away too much from. He might have just been trying to play it safe. I know it started raining on some riders. I didn't really see where maybe he got a wet wave. I'm not sure. I'm not positive on that. But yeah, no, I think he'll be just fine. I'm not worried about his form. After seeing him earlier this year in Tirreno, I think he's fine. He was probably just playing it safe.
All right. One of the biggest one-day races in the world this coming Sunday, Paris Roubaix. Last year, another Mathieu van der Poel display of massive power, and the team rode pretty well also with Philipsen up there. Bad luck to Wout van Aert, but Wout van Aert's bad luck is going to extend all the way through the classics. Does that open up Paris Roubaix a little bit, or another chance for Van der Poel to go bananas and slaughter everybody?
Yeah, I mean, I think Van der Poel, he's showing that he's definitely the guy to beat. I mean, everyone's going to key off of him. Roubaix, it's one of those races that it's easier to draft, it's easier to follow, it's easier to play off of somebody. Whereas, you know, Flanders, you got those deep climbs where you can just make that gap with huge explosive power. So I don't know. I think it's gonna probably need to take some collusion with some other teams working together. Trek, they're super deep. Mads Pedersen is on flying form, and they're, they got Jonathan Milan and a whole slew of other guys. I don't know. I'm liking Bettiol. He was looking so good. And I know I'm saying this with my heart because I'm EF, but I'm going to give Bettiol a really good shot in Paris Roubaix.
The cobbles in Tour of Flanders are one thing, but in Paris Roubaix, you hit him going about 4 times faster, and it makes for, it's so unique, and there's so many miles of cobbles. It doesn't oftentimes boil down to sitting on the wheels. And when the best guys are going that quickly across the stones, it's an astounding race to watch. But how do you compete with somebody like Van der Poel physically if you know what's required?
Ooh, man, I don't know. How do you compete against him physically? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's going to have to be a numbers game. And it's going to have to be, being said, he also has a super strong team. You saw how well the team rode for him in the Tour of Flanders. He's going to be a tough one to beat. But, between Visma, Trek, and Fleet EF, they're going to have to play everything against him.
How do you reckon Mathieu will go in Paris Roubaix?
I hope good. I hope, like I said in Flanders, I don't think that they're going to give him the leash to go up the road with 100K to go. I'm going to challenge Mathieu. Go man-to-man. Go man-to-man with Mathieu Poel.
That would be astounding. Wout van Aert tried that. It didn't work out last year.
Well,
I mean,
it's going to be a tough one, but I'm going to challenge him to do it because we've seen him do it already this year. So I think he can.
All right. I would say go early and hope that Van der Poel's exhausted when he catches you.
Yeah, that's what he tried in Flanders, but I don't know. I think that's a good tactic for Sheffield because Sheffield's flown a little bit more under the radar this year. I think they're going to give him a little bit more of a leash. So if Sheffield can get into one of those earlier moves, like a la Mads Pedersen in Flanders, if Sheffield was in that move, they could have brought that a little further and then anticipated that Van der Poel attack and then slotted in. I just don't see anyone giving Mathieu, with the season he's had so far, credit to him. Right. They're not going to give him a leash because he's been so strong. So I don't think he has a choice but to go man-to-man. So I just think he needs to tell himself, build himself up, give himself confidence and say, this is my plan. I'm going to try it. If it doesn't work, fine. But I actually think that's even his best chance at a result. Like if he gets dropped, then he ends up in a group behind and can still fight for the minor placings. But if he tries to go really early like he did, he could blow deep the way he did in Flanders and end up, half an hour back.
Well, that's always a gamble. Did they ever let you race Paris-Roubaix, Tejay, when you were
I think my quotes after the cobbled stages of the Tour de France, they kind of live in infamy. So
yes,
I was like, I didn't want any part of that race, and I just had to get through in those stages. But so no, they never let me race that race.
It's one of the races that I mean, you can't say you enjoyed it. It's one I look forward to, and it's the most magical day of racing of the whole year. I'm really stoked for next Sunday. Yeah, no, this is one of the best weeks for cyclists. Got Flanders 1 week, and then you got Pays Basque the whole week in between, and then you got Roubaix to bookend it. It's just an exciting week of bike racing. So Soudal was abysmal at their home race, the Tour of Flanders. Quite a bit of extra pressure on them for Paris-Roubaix, but I don't know about you, but I don't see them delivering on next Sunday. It just doesn't seem to have the riders to do that. No, I mean, I don't know what's up with Casper Asgreen. He's definitely not shown the form that he was showing. What was that? It was only a few years back that he won Flanders. It was 2020, 2021. Yeah.
haven't seen a whole lot from him since. Unless something happens drastically throughout the week, I don't know who they're going to have to really compete. Like I said before, I think they're banking. I think they broke the bank for Evenepoel, and that's kind of cost them in their classics campaign. And I had this hot take last week with Christian that I think that Evenepoel should have just raced Flanders and tried to win it. And as I think he absolutely is the rider that is a kind of rider that could win it, and that would have bought them a whole lot of leeway come the Tour if he only finishes third. Like I think that'd have been a smart move. But as far as Paris Roubaix, I think I don't know. I think Quick Step's looking at a goose egg for this classic season.
Seems like they're transitioning to be a stage race team rather than a classics team, which we've known them for decades.
Yeah, I mean, Mikel Landa, they brought him on. That was a big signing. They're really filling out this Grand Tour sort of roster, and I think it's showing. It's costing them in their classics. And that said, also, Julian Alaphilippe, he just hasn't quite recovered from that crash that he had in 2021 in the Liège-Bastogne-Liège. Like you can definitely draw a straight line from that crash. And I know it was a nasty one, and I'm hoping that he gets a full recovery. And I'm really rooting for him to have a full recovery because he's such an exciting rider. But I don't know, like he might just not be the same rider that he was before.
Well, what do you make of the kerfuffle between the Alaphilippe family and Patrick Lefebvre, the manager of the Soudal Quick-Step team?
I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like how quick do they get that, he was world champion 2 years in a row before he had that nasty crash. I think about Egan Bernal and he was Tour de France champion and he had that nasty crash, and he had just come off of also winning the Giro, and the support that Ineos has given him and the patience they've had and just the program that he's been given, and the rehab, and all this time and effort that they've invested to get him back, and now he's finally to the point where you're like, okay, we can to see Egan Bernal coming back. I think there's a big difference in the level of support that you give a rider after a massive crash like that, seeing how they come back, as opposed to sticking him under the thumb. Michael Valgren is another good case. Like he had a really nasty crash that I was at. It was in 2022 when he had this nasty crash in L'Occitanie. And, it took a long time. We let him race on the Continental team. We gave him a nice, easy program, let him focus on his rehab. And now he's back and he's up there, and he finished 8th at Tour of Flanders, and he's been really competitive up there, contributing team member. And I think it's just, you're a couple months away from seeing him winning again. Same with Egan. And I just don't think that Quick Step is giving Philippe that same level of support.
Okay. Mathieu van der Poel looking like the hot favorite for Roubaix. Who do you reckon his number one rival was? I'm thinking Mads Pedersen, maybe the only rider that could hypothetically go as well as he can throughout the race.
Mads Pedersen, yeah, I think Mads Pedersen is a good one. I mean, am I picking with my head or my heart? Because if I'm picking with my head, I got to say Mads Pedersen. If I'm picking with my heart, I'm going with, well, first of all, Alberto Bettiol, and then Matteo Jorgensen.
Any other? To me, Jasper Philipsen is the only other rider who's a teammates with Van der Poel that could, if he gets near the finish line with him, have a chance to beat him. But anybody else, it's going to be tough. I'm going to do a podium prediction. Pedersen, top 3, maybe third, and Van der Poel and Jasper Philipsen repeating last year's success. I just don't see anybody else being up there. I mean, obviously it's a race. Anything can happen, but that's my podium. Who's yours, TJ?
I'm going to go. It's also going to be interesting how Alpecen's going to play it tactically when we saw San Remo, it's almost like they're trading off monuments now. No, I definitely got to put Van der Poel on the podium. I'm gonna go Bettiol for the win. I'm gonna go Van der Poel in second, and I'm gonna go Sheffield rounding out the podium.
Oh, nice. I would be fine with me, to be honest. I'm trying to be realistic, though.
I'm a little emotional right now, Bob. I'm a little emotional.
Well, the team's ridden well throughout the year so far. You got to be pretty happy with the way EF has been winning races pretty consistently.
Yeah, we've been winning races consistently. We could definitely use one. It was a little dry in March with Paris-Nice, but no, the team's been showing form. Bettiol, he had that amazing win in Milano-Tirreno. So no, we got a good team. We got good form. There's no reason why we can't come away with a big one on Sunday.
Would be awesome to see Magnus Sheffield up there. Young American's got a classic win already. Not sure if he's up to the 270 kilometers of cobbles or 60 Ks of cobbles, but what gives you so much confidence in Magnus for Paris Roubaix?
I don't know. He really surprised me with Flanders. It seems like he's definitely the kind of rider for it. I think he's flown a little bit under the radar, but he's got the engine for it. He's got the skills for it. And I think when you saw that long distance in Flanders, that's when he started to shine through. And I think the longer distance of Paris-Roubaix is going to suit him really well.
Well, fingers crossed. American
that and like I said, flying under the radar, he might get a little bit of freedom to slip in one of those early moves. Like we said, he'll get ahead of him and avoid those big explosive attacks, and then he's in the mix for the final. He's also a pretty handy sprinter.
All right. Well, everybody can watch that this Sunday on Peacock. On the West Coast, it starts really early. We're showing the whole race, so you're lucky you'll be in Mallorca, or will you be at the race, TJ, watching it? You'll be somewhere in Europe anyways.
No, I'll be happily watching that race from the comfort of my couch. I'll have the fireplace going. And you got to admit, like Bob, we got to admit, when we're not racing Roubaix, we can hope for rain, right? Like,
yes,
we hope for rain. Absolutely. Yeah. That makes it like the most exciting. So I'll just be here, nice Mediterranean island, probably just chilling, and I'll just hope that it just dumps on the guys up north.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching, and stay tuned for Paris-Roubaix on Sunday on Peacock.
For all your cycling content year-round, subscribe to NBC Sports YouTube page. We got it all.